we're going to do a video on the moon in Capricorn with the sun in Leo. It's going to be a little bit shorter video than I usually do, but we're still going to get into everything I generally do.
Conscious in pursuit of president, speaking dollars, that's my president. Elevated, overthrow the president, flowing better than it's ever been. A young Anglo-American, golly, how we swiftly mix the recipe and the custody belief.
Powered by Aries, on it found myself. Hey, you with the vision.
Having elemental, periodic verse, hidden inside 47. You'll be astonished, crying, oof, dodo, smoking out my lungs. Pack a punch, that's how we
make my eyes bleed. Vision, vision, like my melon, some others, Mary, but the child is green, my chakras balance.
Truly wanna lady, bless.
Truly wanna thank you. Truly wanna thank you to my creator. Love renaissance to the fullest, it's all love from up above. Switching lanes, tripping on the wheel again to the fifth dimension. Face a whole 7 in the sit-in. Indian style do, tripping blood united too.
But don't pass from the blood, fool.
Shots like this a killing concert. Inspired me to drop the bomb first.
On this bitch made of leaders, indigo the truly golden leaders. But it's gang man, so grab a heater. Cold as Alaska, we are King Cruiser. To these martial law pursuers. Another dead by police or interracial beef.
And this is third person off the Origins album, the 10th track. So y'all go ahead and tap into that, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna go ahead and get into this real quick. So we got the moon in Capricorn with the sun in Leo. So essentially, the moon in Capricorn is all about being the boss. And the sun in Leo is all about the stage. So being the boss on stage is what the energy is going on right now. And we have the moon sextile in Saturn. We also have the moon sextile in Neptune, because both of those energies are in Pisces, right? So the moon is our emotions, our reactions, and our responses. So we're feeling comfortable reacting and responding to restriction to achieve our dreams, Saturn. And then we're also seeing the opportunity to restrict ourselves to achieve our illusions and nightmares, as well as Neptune, both being in Pisces, you know what I'm saying? So moon in Capricorn is essentially being the boss to see the opportunity to restrict yourself to achieve your dream. Moving forward, we also have the moon square in Lilith. You know what I'm saying? The moon squaring is all about learning from our emotions, and based on it being Lilith in Libra, learning from our emotions to stabilize a balance, or, you know what I'm saying, whenever we're relating, we need to realize that when we relate, it might be a dark moment. So essentially, we need to learn from our emotions that we might not always be seen as the boss of our relationship. And in turn, I'm saying, it's going to put you in a space that you might have to deal with, you know what I'm saying, being a dark moment, based on it being Lilith, and then, or embarrassment. And we also have the moon trining Venus, right? And moon trining anything, I'm saying, it's the gift from our emotions. So we're going to have the gift based on our emotional state to value the details, being Venus and Virgo. And we also have the moon in conjuncting the sun and Mercury, which are both in Leo. And the in conjunction is pretty much a misunderstanding. So based on our essentially our emotions of being the boss at this point in time, we're in a space where we may misunderstand our actions, the sun being the stage, right? So we may misunderstand, you know what I'm saying, our circumstance situation based on being in a space that we want to be the boss of our actions that we take on stage. And then we also have Mercury being in Leo, which has been in retrograde, right? Because Mercury was in Virgo before, now it's retrograded back into Leo, right? And essentially, we may misunderstand our thought processes or the stage that we've created and we're thinking about based on, are we actually the boss of that stage at this point in time? Then we go ahead and break down the rising signs. Like I said, this ain't going to be a super long video like I usually do. I usually do like a half-an-hour video, but I'm going to go ahead and break down everything real quick for y'all, you know what I'm saying? So starting with Capricorn rising, first house and ascendant. At this point in time, you're going to have the personal affairs of being the boss, or your individuality. Are you the boss in your individual life, or are you the boss of yourself at this point in time, being Capricorn? Sagittarius is going to be having Capricorn in the second house, and the second house is all about valuing of a person, place, thing, or idea. So essentially, do you value the place that you're in? Are you actually the boss of the people that you're around? Are you the boss of what you value at this point in time? I'm going to go ahead and tap in with these comments. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Panda Lucci. Shout out to Dakma. I think that's your name. We're going to get into Leo. And also with that being said, Yeah, shout out to everybody that's tapping in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful for y'all. Moving forward, we have the moon in, pardon me, like I say, moon in Capricorn, but moon in Capricorn for Scorpio rising is going to be in the third house, right? So the third house is all about your environment or your immediate spaces, or maybe even like your neighborhood, so to speak. So essentially, the Scorpio is seeing the opportunity to be in power and environment. You know what I'm saying? You're saying because Capricorn is also power. So like being the boss, you have power, right? And a sextile is seeing the opportunity. So the Scorpio sees the opportunity in their environment. And moving forward, we have Libra rising, first house and ascendant, which will have Capricorn in the fourth house. And with that being said, it's essentially a learning process for the Libra. So the Libra has to learn the private power that they actually have of being the boss of that circumstance situation. So like based on how, excuse me, pardon me, how you interact within your private events or private spaces or even your home, you may have to be in a learning process to actually create balance at this point in time. Moving forward, we also have the Leo rising. Pardon me, I skipped Virgo. So for Virgo rising, they're going to have the Capricorn in the fifth house. So they're going to have the gift based on them both being earth signs. So essentially, Virgo is going to have the gift to express the power of being the boss at this point in time. You're saying essentially you feel comfortable in that expression or you feel uncomfortable in that expression. That's what the moon's all about. To put yourself on that higher octave, you essentially want to feel comfortable with just go ahead and being comfortable with your own expression at this point in time. Moving forward, we also have the Leo rising, right? And Leo rising, first house and descendant. Somebody was talking about, please break down Leo. So we on Leo right now. And Leo is having a misunderstanding, like I mentioned earlier, with the Capricorn energy. So essentially, the Leo is either feeling comfortable being the boss of their work routine and pattern. And essentially, based on that misunderstanding, the Leo has to realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. And essentially, they need to be able to learn how to work for others to in turn be a good boss. You know what I'm saying? Essentially. Moving forward, the Cancer rising is having the seventh house being in Capricorn, and the seventh house is all about your relations or relationships. So essentially, it's that opposition, right? So either adding on or opposing to what you're relating to, or opposing being the boss of your relations. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, you may be in a space where you're kind of bossing people around, or you're in a space where you're actually taking care of others at this point in time, and you feel comfortable relating in that aspect. Then moving forward, we also have the Gemini rising, and Gemini rising is having the eighth house being in Capricorn, and the eighth house is all about transformation, behind the scenes, and secrets. So at this point in time, the Gemini may misunderstand adapting to their secret power. And essentially, the Gemini likes to run their mouth, and at this point in time, they need to be in a space being more logistical and practical and how to actually be the boss of what they're actually talking about or utilizing and saying based on their thoughts, based on them being that Mercury sign. So essentially, Mercury is going to want them to talk at this point in time, but they actually are under that misunderstanding to a point where they actually need to ground what they got going on, and they actually need to focus on what they're transforming to actually be in a better space. And that's Gemini rising. And Taurus, first house rising and ascendant, is having the ninth house being in Capricorn, and the ninth house is all about your experiences, your knowledge, wisdom, and morality. I meant to say. Or even travel, right? You could travel internally or externally at this point in time, being the Taurus rising, and realize that this is right before that full moon, you know what I'm saying? So you want to go ahead, if you were to want to travel somewhere, you want to go ahead and take care of that right now, being that Taurus rising. And essentially, based on them both being earth signs, Taurus is going to have the gift to feel comfortable being the boss of their experience at this point in time. I'm saying because Taurus is the work sign, but essentially, are they in a space where they're experiencing being the boss based on them being so consistent upon them being in a space of working well? Then moving forward, the Aries rising is having the 10th house being in Capricorn, and essentially based on them both being cardinal signs, they're in a square space being the Aries rising. So the square is all about a learning process. So the Aries is learning a status of being a boss and how to actually be in a space where it's more logistical and practical, and how they can actually utilize that space to benefit oneself. Moving forward, the Pisces rising is having the 11th house being in Capricorn, and the 11th house is all about your associates and your public spaces and things of that nature, or even the internet at this point in time. So the Pisces is going to have the opportunity and seeing the opportunity, which group they actually want to be a part of, to be the boss of that association or that group. So it's like, can you be in a space where these individuals, you can actually be the boss of them, but it's also, you know what I'm saying, being in a business that you can continue to operate, being that Pisces rising. Then moving forward, last but not least, the Aquarius rising is having the 12th house, being in Capricorn, and the 12th house is all about dreams, illusions, and nightmares. So essentially the Aquarius rising, first house and ascendant, is working on a dream to be the boss of that dream at this point in time. So essentially they have this idea in their mind, but are they actually in a space where they can continue to work on that and actually achieve that boss status of that dream? And yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was letting y'all know earlier this is going to be a little quick video. And just to recap everything, essentially the moon in Capricorn is being the boss of your stage or your own personal stage. And keep in mind, based on us having Mercury moving back into Leo, you're going to be thinking and communicating about that stage that you're utilizing at this point in time. So essentially, are you in a space that you can actually be the boss of your own circumstance situation and actually have a business out of that, or stand on business, so to speak? So yeah, much love and holla back. Peace and love if you believe in all that. I'm saying support the movement you need to be in tune with. If you go to my about in my channel, I'm saying you go ahead and check out that Cash App, you know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy, you know what I'm saying? Much love and holla back. And like I say, peace and love if you believe in all that.